Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals. My name is Mike Berg from We Heart Games, and I'm going to teach you how to play my newest game, Crownfell. Crownfell is an asymmetric two-player strategy game that was fairly heavily inspired by chess. It has a lot of the same movement and capturing, but it has a few fun twists. The first of which is it's played entirely with cards. These are beautifully illustrated by Strega Wolf Vandenberg. There are 17 unique character cards, and each one can be flipped to either player's color. They're the same on both sides otherwise. Each card has its own unique movement rules, which you can see in this grid here, and some of them have special abilities as well. The goal of the game is to capture all of your opponent's pieces, which you will primarily do by moving your cards on top of their cards. To start a game, players should sit across from each other at the table. One player takes the crown card and puts it at the edge of the table. Flip it up in the air. The side that it lands face up on is your color, and your opponent is the other color. As it says on the card, the white player starts the draft, and the black player gets the first turn when you're ready to start the game itself. Place the crown card in the center of the table. Each game of Crownfell is played with just 8 of the 17 cards. For your first game or two, I recommend playing with these starter teams. Once you're more comfortable with the rules, explore more of the cards with a draft. Start by shuffling and dealing 8 cards where both players can see them. The black player gets the first pick. Take turns by choosing cards one at a time, flipping them to your color, until you each have a team of 4 cards. Now you're ready to start. Crownfell is played on a 5x5 grid. Use the crown card as the center space of the board. Imagine a 5x5 grid around it. You might find it helpful to use 4 standard playing cards to help mark the grid. Now, each space is adjacent, or at least diagonally adjacent, to something that is holding the grid. For this video, I'll be playing on the optional playmat. The white player got the first pick in the draft, so the black player gets the first turn in the game. Each turn, you must perform exactly one of 3 actions. You can deploy a card from your hand to the board, you can move one of your cards that's in play, or you can activate an ability of one of your cards that's in play. Let's go over each of these. Deploy a card from your hand to an open space in your home row, which is the row closest to you. Note that your cards should always be played face up for you. Your opponent's cards will be upside down for you on the grid. This is important because the movement arrows printed on each card are directional based on which way the card is facing. In the unlikely event that there are no free spaces in your home row, you cannot take the deploy action. You can also move a card using its movement grid. This grid defines how each card can move and sometimes has other special effects or actions it can take relative to its current position. There are 3 different types of move. I will go over them here. This, a single blue arrow, is a standard move. It allows you to move 1 space in the direction indicated. So this card could move here, or here, here, or here. The monarch also has what's called a passive move. This is the gray arrow. A passive move cannot be used to capture, so it has to move to an empty space. In this situation, the monarch can move here, but it cannot move here to capture. The hollow blue arrow is a jump move, which is like a standard move, except it allows you to optionally jump over a card in that first space to land in the second space. So if the angel was here, it could move here to capture in that first space, but it could also jump over the stag and capture the monarch here. This brings us to cards with multiple arrows in the same movement box. When there are 2 arrows, the second arrow is always optional, and the moves must be done in order. So the Duke can move 1 or 2 spaces diagonally, but it may not capture in the first space. So if the Duke was here, it could not capture that card, but it could move 2 spaces to capture the Guardian. When you capture a card, Place it to one side of the board. This is a shared discard pile. These cards are now available for either player to revive, but we'll get back to that later. The third action you can take during your turn is to activate an ability. The cards have text at the bottom. Text in italics, like this one, are passive and either clarify rules or have an always active effect for this card. Some cards have an ability that can be activated, which is the third type of action you can take on your turn. The Pyro, for example, allows you to throw a fireball and capture a card 2 spaces in front of it, without even moving. Remember, abilities that you can activate have a bold title. That crown space in the middle of the board does more than just hold the board together. When you move a card to this space, you immediately take one of 3 bonus rally actions. When you rally, you can deploy a card, revive a card from the discard pile, or direct one of your other cards to make a single passive move. Deploy is the same as usual. Deploy a card from your hand to an open space in your home row. Revive allows you to take any captured card from the discard pile and put it into your hand, even one that belonged to your opponent. You just flip it to your color. You can then deploy this card on a later turn. Direct allows you to make one passive move with one other card that's on the board. This can be in any direction and it ignores that card's normal movement restrictions. Remember, with a passive move you cannot capture, so it has to be moving to an empty space. But this can be very helpful for getting a card out of a jam. For example, if I move the Monarch here to rally, I would direct the Martyr to move forward, which it normally couldn't, and now not only is it no longer threatened by the Harbinger, but it's actually threatening the Harbinger. There are 3 more icons that show up on some of the cards that we need to cover: Lock, Protect, and Ranged Capture. The Lock icon prevents an enemy card in the indicated position from moving or from using its ability. In this situation, the Labyrinth is locking both the Stag and the Angel, and the Vampire is locking the Guardian. You can see that their icons indicate their relative position of the spaces that are locked based on that card's current position. It's important to note that if a card is locked, the only way that it can be moved again is if the enemy card moves away, or if I use another one of my cards to move this card with its ability. This includes the direct ability that you use when you rally. So if I rally by moving here to the crown space, I can direct this card to move away from that locked space. The Protect icon protects an allied card in the indicated space. If the Guardian is here, the Monarch cannot be captured from abilities like Pyro's Fireball or from the Angel by moving onto it. The Ranged Capture icon, which is the red X, lets you capture in the indicated space without even having to move there. The important thing here is that you can do this instead of moving, so here I could capture the Duke, or after you move. So the Assassin could move forward 1 and then capture the Angel. It's also important to note that you can only capture 1 enemy card per turn, even if there are multiple enemy cards in range. The game ends when you clear the board of your opponent's cards, even if they still have cards in their hand. One note is that if your opponent has only locked cards left on the board, that is still an immediate win. And that's how you play Crownfell. I hope you enjoyed the video, and more importantly, I hope you enjoyed playing the game. Once you've learned the rules, the joy of discovery is finding new and interesting ways that the cards work together. And each game will feel fresh since you play with different cards every time. Stay tuned to this channel for an upcoming video with sort of a glossary giving more details on each of the cards and how they work, and another video coming soon about how to play Crownfell Last Stand, which is the solo mode. Thanks for watching.